Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to Operculum Audio. My name's Tom. Today's segment is an interview I did with Seamless. Now, I want to forewarn you, I only captured half of the interview. For whatever reason, my microphone didn't record me for the first half of the interview, so I'm just going to start in the middle, and that's unfortunate because Seamless and I got to talking about some pretty cool stuff in the beginning, but I'll just have to make sure that doesn't happen the next time I go to do an interview. So the interview is cut short in half, and it was my first time doing an interview, so you're going to hear me say, a lot of filler junk, and I'm working on that, so be patient with me. But regardless, it's a great interview with Seamless. I got to talk to him one-on-one. We got to talk about a bunch of different topics. So without further ado, here is the man, Stephen O'Reilly, Seamless himself.
Well, damn.
So thank you, Seamless.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's sort of funny. You mentioned how you wanted to have kids, and like I don't want to have kids. I just do not. But on the other hand, I do enjoy. I appreciate the concept of a legacy, and when people tell me things like this, it makes me feel really nice because it's like, oh, cool. Even though I don't have kids, I had impact on yours.
Yeah. Your teachings. There needs to be like a book of Seamless or something like that. But you're definitely. There's a guy at my job, and he's always talking about karate, and he's talking about how he's obsessed with karate, and it's really cool, because like we'll relate to each other, but I'm always talking about music, and he's talking about karate, and we're talking about our passions, and that's where we kind of meet on the same. We merge together. Conversation wise is that I'm like, I got music and it's my passion and it's kind of like my side thing, but I am all in, like I am just every single day doing it. I love it. Right. It doesn't feel like work to me. It's what I love to do. And it's like, it's karate for me. Right. But he was talking to me about how he's got his own style and that he's got a few students. And I was like, man, that's all you really need. You don't need like a million people to follow you. You just need like a few people like your disciples who listen to what you say and practice your teachings and take your legacy onto the next level. And basically, it's like planting seeds. Like you're eventually one day he won't be here. We all won't be here, but his path will have grown through other people, and then they basically carry it through the rest of the world and just take what it is. And that's what I feel like you've done. Essentially, like a lot of people, have taken what you've taught, and it's like seeds that you've planted, and that it's growing throughout the world, So and other people too with whatever they teach, But I feel like that's the kind of the role of a teacher is to like sow seeds and watch it grow. So.
Oh yeah, and I was going to bring that up way back when we were talking about how ridiculously experimental I get, which is like I don't really have the intention to be a person who's creating a product. Like, I don't mean like, I don't be corporate. I mean, like, literally, I barely produce. I haven't made like an actual piece of music in forever, and it's because I haven't, like, my area of experimentalism has exceeded that stuff for long enough that I haven't had to totally a reason. Mm-hmm. To the point where now, where I am experimenting with things like the ZG stuff and whatnot, is getting me closer to actually doing a song just because I'll need to have something to demonstrate it with.
Nice.
And like that just makes me now, but that was basically the whole reason I was doing the stuff in the first place. Like, because I came up with like this cool way to do a bass. I was like, well, now I got to make a song and demonstrate it. Hey, how do I do electro?
That's cool, man, because it's kind of like it's kind of like you've been on this journey, and you may have like, everyone goes through different journeys in life, and we start out doing one thing, but then at some point you kind of got to leave what you originally started doing behind. But it sounds like you've kind of making a full circle loop. It's like you've done a whole cycle, but now you've reached the end, and now you have this new skill that reanimates your interest in or the reason to make a track now. It's like, oh, now you're back at step one, but you've got all this experience and this new purpose and reason for doing it now, So it's
right.
like, oh, man.
Originally, originally my purpose of doing and like learning was learning things. Like I learned how to do basses and plugins and certain processes and targets and that kind of thing. And like then there became a huge phase of me just like trying to find new stuff, trying to find. Then that's when I did the K tutorial series. I was like 20K started being pretty good, and 40K was okay. And around I started doing the 75K, and on top of it, A, not being able to keep up with that, but B, they started getting pretty samey request wise, and it wasn't so much that like people aren't making good bass because they totally are, but it's less. I'm being less surprised by that, and it's also like it's just going to be another way of arranging stuff I've done before, and that's fine because that's what happens when you go X 1,000 on everything. But the desire, the whole reason I got that far is because that's what makes me want to do this stuff in the first place. And if I just do a thing that's just obvious to me when I'm doing it, like I don't really see the point, because in my mind, there's already people that are doing this that's fine. And I get that other people don't even begin to feel this way when they hear my music because they're not me in my brain. That's fine. But I also want to inspire people to do stuff that isn't a thing I did so that I can hear it the way that I'm supposed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're opening up multiple doors of potentiality with this. You know, it's like, oh, I taught this guy how to do this, and then maybe somebody comes back and shows you, like, oh my gosh, that's really cool that you are able to do that now. Yeah.
Already, plenty of students have taken some things I've given them and come back and shown me some stuff I never thought of, and that's the best. That's like the full realization of the point of doing all of this in certain regards is that like if I try hard enough, I might be able to get a whole crap ton of knowledge on my own, and it'll probably be fine and great, but it will be less than I can accomplish if I had other people on it. And in some regards, the further out you go and more specific you do, the less that becomes possible because it's all real specific, unless you straight up are gonna just build a person with the knowledge. And that's where like some parts of the tutorial stuff happens is that like I have no idea how fast the progression of knowledge of utilizing FM and bass was, going before I came around, but I really would be fine knowing that maybe I pushed the needle a bit to make it happen faster.
Yeah. I mean, I think you did definitely, for sure. Like, you're the number one guy I went to, and still to this day, I have a hard drive full of your videos that I've saved. Yeah, it's just like dedicated, like a Seamless folder. And so I go back, and if I ever need to reboot that learning back up in my brain, I just check it out again, and it works pretty good. So, but yeah, man, I think ideally, when I think of like, when I hear you say these things, it's really nice to hear, but it sounds like what your goal is, like you said, you're not so much like trying to sell like a product or something like that. I think products are cool because I've got a few. I've done like a few like little sound design things or whatever. But it wasn't.
I got nothing against commercializing production abilities. Like I'm sure I've been done it before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I want to dabble a little bit in that, and I think a lot of people do, and entertain those ideas. But it wasn't like I just don't want to be just that, the guy who's like, hey, I just make sample packs or this and that, I want more, but what I was saying, getting back to the original point, is that, God, here goes my ADD. I had a tough, there's something I was trying to say. Oh yeah. Okay. I got it. Is that, I think you've definitely attains, it's about fulfillment. You want to have that glass half full feeling, and, with what you did is, you're not like setting out to necessarily be like a corporation and sell. Like I think you've definitely tapped into that fulfillment thing where you do have the students coming back and telling you, hey, I achieved this and thank you. It's like your legacy lives on, and that's very rewarding, I think,
It is very rewarding.
Yeah.
It also is a good measure to know that every once in a while that like I can point to things and say I am not full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that evidence.
I want that on your tombstone. This Seamless wasn't full of shit. I mean, I knew that from day one, but so anyway. Oh man, so I actually I didn't get a chance to set this up, but I'll talk about it. Was that I know when you do your introduction, I forget who his name was, but you had talked about, hey, you did like Starcraft tutorials, and he'd be like, hi, my name's so-and-so. And you were like, I got that from this guy. And you're like, hi, I'm Seamless. And basically he was a Starcraft guy, right?
So there was a Starcraft guy that I modeled some other types of presentation of teaching, actually. That was day 9. But the dude with the intro was actually level cap.
Oh, okay. So
this is a Battlefield first-person shooter dude.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I played that game before. I looked online at StarCraft samples, and I was going to try and get a soundboard going and, play different ones throughout this, through this conversation, but I didn't get it set up. I got the samples chopped up. I was just like, you know what? I'll just do the interview instead. So, but anyway, I was like, this maybe Seamless you've played StarCraft before, right?
Oh yeah, I was big on the original game when it was out, but not in like a pro-y way. I was a kid. I was dicking around with the skirmishes and just kind of having fun with it. And
nice.
I played StarCraft 2 in the beta, and I even I got an achievement, which was to win 50 matches as all races, including random.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but they got rid of that achievement, and I wanted it. Damn it.
What race did you like playing as the most?
Zerg.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I thought you might have been a Protoss guy.
You'd think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would think so, but that's interesting. A Zerg, okay. I can. Zerg are pretty tricky. The thing about Zerg is they can just get so many units out so fast.
Oh yeah, so that's that X 1,000 that I like about them. That's
yeah. I remember Hydralisks. I remember as soon as you start seeing Hydralisks, you're like, oh fuck, this game's over. But yeah, I played I played Warcraft 3. I like that game, but as far as like StarCraft goes, I was always Protoss. I tried my hand at Zerg and Terran. I could never get Terran. It felt like Lego blocks that I could never get to work with each other playing Terran.
That's a good way to put it.
I just sucked with them. And Zerg, it's interesting. If there were 3 DAWs, right? What would FL Studio be? Would it be Zerg, Terran, or Protoss?
Oh, FL would be Protoss all day.
You think so? Okay. Yeah. What would Ableton be?
Terran.
Okay, yeah. And then what the hell would be Zerg?
Bitwig, I guess.
Bitwig, nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree on those. I agree on those for sure.
Honestly, I think that's kind of why I avoided Protoss, is because I sort of felt that it was kind of a way, that you get the sort of system sense where you sort of see how way things are laid out and you go, wait a minute, this is gonna feel away if I start getting any farther in this. So, I know I can do things, but I've been here before. I know how far I had to go, and I kind of don't wanna.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting that you're a FL guy, but you go with the Zerg, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I could never get the hang of Zerg. I thought they were cool because what was nice about them was that you could expand really, you had the hive, and that was the beauty of it. They all played a little differently. But anyway.
Yeah, a big part of their speed was based on just the fact that they were very simplified. They didn't have to have a building 4 thing. Your thing was the building, and it made all the kinds of things. It made it so that your unitness was the focus of how you were, almost more than buildings were. And I like that about them because it meant that you got further to actually being able to execute a strategy quicker.
Yeah.
Real
definitely.
quick.
Oh yeah. I saw that you had a. I think it was some Native Instruments gear. I have a Maschine. What exactly do you own from Native Instruments?
I have a Micro Mark III. I think that's all. Oh yeah, no. I also have a a freaking, what is even the name of the thing? The S8, the Tractor S8.
How do you like that?
I love it. Like, as for what it is, for what it's for, it's the best thing ever. Like, it's super. Like, I'd have taken the smaller bits, but the smaller bits weren't out when I bought that thing. But I love turntableless nonsense. So like any enabling of like DVS to like that kind of level of like digital precision, but like also letting you use your hands to do stuff, like, is win for me.
Nice. So if you had to make a recommendation for like somebody doing like live DJing stuff, right? I had some guy talking to me yesterday about when I was at the drum and bass place, and I was talking to him about teasing the idea of, doing some live stuff. I've never done it, but I'm interested in it. And he was telling me that he would recommend the DDJ SX3,
Sure.
Yeah, and I was wondering, from your point of view, what's your recommendations? Is there any difference between that or do you think Tractor is more suitable?
It doesn't matter at all.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
Nope, not in the slightest.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, cool. Well, yeah, like I said, that's something I'm gonna be jumping into here, hopefully sometime next few months. Yeah, for sure.
Play them tracks.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Let me see here. As far as like FL Studio, I know you talk to the creators, who the guys involved with FL, and I know there's probably some information that you're not can't exactly say to the public because you're a little more in the inner circles of FL. But I was wondering if you could perhaps tell us where you thought FL Studio might be headed.
Well, that's hard to say because they're a very whimmy company. They take things that are cool and they run with them when they think they're cool, and they try them out, and then if they're cool they keep them, and if they're not they don't. They're kind of like Valve. They're very Valvey.
Interesting
in this regard.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean that's cool. They it sounds like they just kind of like you said, I guess the mission is to just make the coolest not product but like DAW that they can, and just if something is that they can add on is like, oh, this is a cool feature, then they just run with it then, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, like the one thing I can talk about now because it's out in the beta is that there's a change to ZGE to the most modern version where you're able to take the RGB controllers that it has, but now you can have one of them per layer as opposed to just one for the whole ass thing. And that was a thing I came up with because I realized that if I had that output, I could use it to do the XYZ tracking. And I was just like, check it out, because I had hammed it together with a bunch of other ones to show that it was possible. And like the next day, they coded up an alpha version of it that had that change in it, and then I was like, woo!
Instant gratification.
Yeah, and I didn't say anything about ZGE on my main channel for like a week because I had to wait for it to come out in the official version so that I could talk about it. But that's how that tends to go down, is that like someone shows up with a demo of a cool idea or a cool thing, or a cool thing someone else did even. Like they like to pay attention to what the competition is doing, but they're very, very mindful that they don't really ever want to try and be them. They want to try and continue to be like their very distinct personal selves and cultivate a competition, but they still take the good ideas. They still see things and go, oh, maybe it's a good idea to have data folders.
Yeah, that's with that said, I think that's probably honestly the best way to go about it, because the moment, I think from like even a musician's point of view of producers, right? Like if you watch, and I'll get this temptation a couple times where like I'll watch other people do their stuff and be like, oh man, that's what I should be doing. But then a part of me is like, you know what? Just like, I feel like I could be influenced by things and inspired, but I guess inspire is the best word. I feel inspired by people's work, but I don't necessarily want to go out and set to copy that exactly. I want to like integrate it into my own unique way, you know, and it sounds like FL.
Because that's the best thing. Like that's how you get progress, is taking a unique thing and being like, oh, that's really neat. And then now I'm going to apply that to me. And then this is going to generate, therefore, something that doesn't exist anywhere yet. And that's what pushes stuff forward. And that's what FL does a lot.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Mad respect to them. I love that about them, that they do that, man. Because I've been with FL since I think like 14 years old. So that's 22 years of FL usage. So it's been a long time, but I've enjoyed the ride. So looking forward to where it keeps going. Another thing I was going to ask, I know you use Vital, or you've talked about it, and I think you know the developer. Do you still use it?
I barely use anything.
Oh, you said barely?
Like, I said I barely use anything.
Oh, okay.
But in the grand scheme of things, I do like Vital. Like, it's of its kind of thing. It's like a nice, comfortable middle road between Serum and Phase Plant, where Serum is this nice kind of very guided experience, and it's complicated. You can do cool stuff, but it's also very linear and tells you where to go and keeps you in line, which is sometimes pretty great.
Yeah.
And then there's Phase Plant, which is like FL in a plugin. It's this absolute monster that could do absolute monstrosities as long as you're, just ready for that fight.
Yeah.
And then here comes Vital, which is like kind of both.
In between.
Where there's all these crazy super things you can do with it if you know where in the UI to like make it do it. But if you don't go looking for it, it doesn't get in the way. Yeah. Which is a pretty good way to be, in my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, I've used it quite a bit, and I've done a little sound design. I really like how it sounds. And I think one of my favorite features was that, I'm probably going to butcher how I'm going to explain this, but there was I think you could apply an LFO it was like the sound source, or like where the sound was. It's like a panner or something, like, so different notes would sound. The polyphony of the instrument it did something that other instruments don't do, and I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but I remember playing with it and I was like, wow, that's that.
Was it the parameter stereo spreader?
Yeah, just something like that. And I was like, wow, now it was forward thinking. I was like, man, it makes the instrument so much more alive in how it sounds and plays. It's like, man, they really.
So yeah, there's a quality of designing a plugin that is very digital and one that's very hardware. Mm-hmm. And the hardware way is to be just unimaginably space conscious, because when you have physical matter you have to deal with, like, everything is expensive if you have more of it. And that means they come up with these crazy clever ways to get real complexity out of like almost nothing. And because I used to feel kind of like I got ripped off if I bought, like, for example, the Moog Mother 32, which has a whole whopping one oscillator, and like versus every other kind of that size and class of Eurorack and cost of Eurorack item has more, at least two. And the answer is, for real, is because it's honestly cleverly designed to get you lots of functionality out of just that one oscillator. And it also helps, in hardware land, it helps you to be cleaner, not to have so much clutter. But in digital land, where you don't really have that problem, you end up with things like Reactor, where, like, yeah, you just code up literally whatever you want as long as you know literally everything in the universe. But now, when you're making clever software, knowing that you can, like, hide windows and stuff, this still makes you think you can still do the Reactor thing, but be clever about it. But that gets you stuff like Phase Plant, where, yeah, the UI is nice and compact, but that's because most of it is hidden and you gotta go find it. And then there's something like Vital, which was designed almost like a piece of hardware, where the functionality is all there, but with such a specific cleverness that really gets the most out of the thingy. Like, I think you were talking about the modulation section. It has a lot of really clever, quick approaches to things that would turn, like, multiple layers of macro work into just, like, two things you did. And that kind of time savingness is, like, doesn't seem important when you're doing only digital stuff, because you can have just 100 of everything, so why do you give a fuck? But in analog world, that's like the make or unmake of a song. And so it's interesting that plugin was pretty well designed, as though it had hardware limitations, and very cleverly to boot.
Yeah, it's I like it a lot, man. I look forward to exploring it more and more. I haven't gotten quite around to it, but I have like a cajillion things. I got like a list. I'm like, all right, I got to do this, and then I'll start. It's like it's like, all right, I got to figure out what's the most important thing that I want to do this week. So, but yeah, actually diving into Vital a little bit more is one of those things. But anyway,
so that used to be how I. Like, we're talking about, like, you know, making tracks as, like, vehicles to learn stuff. I would be like, I need to learn a plugin, so I'll just make a track using nothing but this plugin. And it's to a point where, like, now when we discuss things like Vital, we don't even talk about what it actually does. We're just talking about how to modulate it and how that's different, because fundamentally, all of the things we mentioned that we use do all of the same things. And that makes it a little bit more like not as a fun exercise for me to be like, okay, let's make a whole track like this, which I now know I just said those words and I see in my head a picture of the layout of exactly what that would look like if I did that with Vital. It would sound awesome, it'd be neat, but it'd be like typewriting a book. Why would I do that?
Yeah, I get on that. It's like, okay, it's like, well, I could do it, but will I enjoy it? You know.
God, imagine that curse. Imagine, like, you could write any kind of, like, imagine being a best-selling author, but you're cursed to only do it if you write it on a typewriter. Would you even do it? I'd be like, whatever, I'll go work for McDonald's. Screw you.
Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. Yeah, that's definitely something to take into consideration. But let me see. Well, I was going to wrap this up. I got a few more questions for you. So here's a good one. If you were, say the world was headed towards catastrophe, right? And they're like, Seamless, we're evacuated planet Earth. We need to get you on Elon Musk's spaceship. And you didn't have enough time to get all your data on your computer, and you could take FL Studio, but you could only take 3 third-party plugins. Which ones would you take?
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, that would have to be, Citrus, Harmor, and Maximus.
Oh, okay. Well, I was considering those like native to FL Studio. I was thinking like outside of FL Studio.
Oh, all right. Shit. Okay. Superior drummer.
Okay.
At least.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, I never want to have to synthesize real drums again.
Yeah.
What else? I got a pretty good handle on synthesizing orchestra stuff now, so I probably don't need any of those plugins anymore. What even plugins? Oh God, Valhalla, the Valhalla reverbs.
Okay, yeah, those are really good. I like those. I would say just we could bundle those as a suite. We'll be like, you know what? Let's just get the suite version of that, so we get all the plugins. So you got Superior Drummer, Valhalla.
You know, it's interesting that, like, you're posing me this question because basically everything I've tried to do about how to do things was explicitly in case if everything explodes, can I still be a producer? And, like, yeah, I could synthesize your bass face from electrons, so I guess so. But
he's the man for the job.
Use? Okay, Faceplant. I'll go with that. Faceplant is basically the most capable third-party plugin I've ever seen, so that's gonna go there.
Yeah, you know that's I think those are actually pretty good choices. It's like it's like if Faceplant was, say if we landed on a planet, it was just you and a couple other colonists, and you don't know what the hell you're in for, and there's just a bunch of like bugs and animals that you are not prepared to handle. Faceplant would be like that, like just ultimate weapon. It can do quite a bit. It'd be like your ultimate plasma gun that just has infinite refills. It's like this thing actually harvests 0-point energy and can destroy anything within like a 5-mile radius. So yeah, we need this. This is a handy tool to keep on your side.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But only if you know Sudoku.
Only if you know Sudoku. That one went over my head.
That's a weird game. Not that difficult. It's like expensive tic-tac-toe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. Okay, gotcha. It's like Sudoku. Yes. I think I've seen it a couple of times. The name didn't pop into my head. But yeah. Well, anyways, cool, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me. I think we're at a good stopping point. So I had a good time talking to you, man. And I look forward to watching your videos in the future. And I've been watching. Before we did this video, I was watching your stream review, and I was checking out. Let me see what video I was watching. I like the track that I stopped on. Oh, I don't have it anymore. But whatever it was really good. It was really good. I like listening to the stuff the guys send into you. It's really cool stuff. So anyway,
it is really cool stuff. Lots of very unique takes on some interesting ideas.
Yes, for sure. Well, I think I'm gonna go down the street and go get me a Whataburger to celebrate this great interview, man. So I wish you a great day and take care, Seamless.
All right, you have a fine rest of your day too.
All right, man. Later.